I'm so glad it's so easy. Sometimes it's like it takes forever to get together, but this was awesome. Good job. All right, so I'm going to introduce you, so I'll get started. Hi, Ryan. I'm going to get started. So Jordan's going to be sharing 3 tips with us. Start the day off in gratitude before you check your phone. Talk to yourself with love and compassion. Use your heart's intelligence, cultivate it, and integrate into your being. So here's some background on Jordan for those of you who don't know him. Jordan Hope Miller is a healer who emphasizes on empowering his clients, students, and every being who he comes across. Jordan has lived many different lives, all of which have given him a unique set of knowledge, wisdom, and medicine to share with the world. His focus has always been on a search for the highest truths. Jordan grew up in a born-again Christian household, and when he was 17, he left the church, finding that certain aspects of this religion were not in alignment with what he was looking for. Though Jordan is a huge fan of Jesus or Christ consciousness, spirituality was always more appealing to him. After being introduced to yoga at the age of 21, he immediately fell in love with the philosophy and the simplicity of its principles. Following the practice of yoga, he practiced Native American traditions for many years and was one of the sweetest tools he used for transforming into his adult life. Jordan is an open transgender man, a biologically born woman who transitioned into a more masculine gender expression. Living a transparent life is one of the key principles in his life. He believes that the range of people and the lives that are impacted only become pure by sharing these aspects of his story. The earth and nature is something that Jordan has always had a deep love and appreciation for, and has worked with sacred plant medicines in Peru while living and working at a retreat center in the heart of the jungle. There he was able to release the beliefs that were adopted living in the Western world. His gifts of being an empath, psychic, and essentially a healer were fully accepted and cultivated in that supportive environment. Jordan is a yoga teacher, Reiki master, Thai yoga masseuse, a theta healer, beloved husband, and a pure-hearted channeler. After falling in love with these slightly different belief systems, he started to forge his own path that focuses on the highest vibration of common shared themes. Jordan believes in Creator, the universe, God, Buddha, Christ, Mother Nature, Earth magic, Hindu deities, and all the unconditional love. And of course, the information on Jordan to get in touch with, definitely be sharing all of that at the end. So, yes, Jordan, yeah, I love you. Hi, buddy. So good to see
Yeah.
you. And I didn't realize when we decided to do this that it's like the Golden Globes or something tonight.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I have no idea.
yeah, me neither. So like I was at the gym before and I'm getting ready for a half marathon. So I was trying to run and I was like, oh, there's like a show on where a lot of people might be watching that. But this is much cooler than whatever anybody else anyway. So welcome. Welcome. I'm so happy you're on. I was telling everybody when we first started that you actually have like the middle chapter of the book, of our book. So it's really great
Yeah.
to introduce you to everybody.
Yeah, it was so nice to be a part of that project.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
We're good creators together. We're on, and
Yeah.
we have the same mission, so it's easy to kind of find like-minded people and share that journey with the other person.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's we've known each other for a while now, so it's been nice to just witness each other's growth along the way as well. So it's really cool.
Yeah. Where are you living now?
I am in New Zealand right now, so it's actually I'm in the future right
Yeah,
now. So it's
exactly.
2 p.m. on Monday.
Nice. So, how is the future looking? Is it nice out tomorrow?
Oh, it's the future is looking bright and beautiful.
I I love it. Well, so tell us about, I read some really great information about your story and your background, but what is it
Mhm.
you do and what brought you to this love and interest in the things that you do now?
Okay, so essentially, I guess I'm driven by anything that has a really nice message. And I've just been born with that kind of drive to look and experiment to see what kind of worked for me.
Hmm.
And I've just experimented with different thought forms, and I've kind of taken what I've liked and just left what wasn't serving me. So over the years, I've just been, cultivating my own personal power, renewing the relationship with myself, shedding old beliefs that are no longer serving me. Yeah, just working on that really. So it's been really, really nice. Um, Yeah, and what's led me to make this leap is just listening to my intuition. My intuition has always been driving me towards the things, my heart, really.
Mhm.
I used to think like, oh man, I'm listening to my heart again, like, damn, every time. But now it's just like, yeah, every time.
Mhm.
So it's kind of just, my gears have been shifted into a different way of experiencing this intuition where I thought it was a hindrance. And now it's just like, wow, it's actually a really, really nice gift. And it's great. I love to share. So that's what's led me here is my own, using it for myself first. And now it's like, oh wow, this has worked, and I feel like I've lived it. I'm walking this walk and talking this talk, so I would love to just share. So
Mhm.
it's just coming straight from here and out.
I understand, and it's funny because I have some clients that are actually watching, and it's one of the things that I talk about is, for me, I follow my gut and my intuition all the time, and I feel it. It's almost like a pulling from my chest is what I can describe it as. And when I
Yeah.
was in really toxic relationships, I would feel that, but it was kind of muted. I think that when I was
Hmm.
not healthy myself, I was feeling those feelings, but they were muted because I had been not listening to them for so long. And once I was able to get rid of the garbage and the weight that was holding me down, I was able to
Mm.
really feel those premonitions better. And my heart was just talking in a way that I understood and was listening to some,
Yeah.
you know.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, well, and I think once you're living your true path, I mean, I think you're in the same boat. Like once you start living your true purpose and you're really doing what you're meant to do, it makes it easier, and your heart just keeps bringing you in the right direction.
Hmm.
Listen to the directions it's giving you.
Yeah, and then that's when the magic happens. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Because who would have thought when I met you years ago that you'd be living in New Zealand right now? I mean, that's awesome. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, awesome is right.
yeah, yeah. So okay, so you have three tips, and I really like, I love your tips because it's something that I really talk about a lot in the
Hmm.
groups. So, I would love to get your feelings about them and to share your knowledge about, just the love and the compassion and gut and instinct, all those great things that you have to offer. I think it's going to be really helpful for people that are watching.
Yeah, great. So we'll just start. The first tip that I have is start your day off with gratitude before you check your phone.
Hmm.
So the feeling behind that is that once you open your eyes and you start your day off in gratitude and like, oh wow, I'm just so thankful for having this bed and wherever you are, just focusing on what you have and feeling grateful for it before you pick up your phone. So it's just like making that connection strong before you pick up this connection.
Hmm.
So I found that I was just like, I'm a firm believer in experimentation, So I've experimented with this, and it's like if I pick up my phone the first thing in the morning, it's like I'm still having a really nice day, and but it's optimized when I start the day off in just even a couple minutes. All it takes is 30 seconds, not even a full minute can change the whole course of your day, so kind of setting the tone. And also what I found is that your subconscious is kind of it's at its weakest in the morning and at night. So if you're a computer, if you're going to program the computer, it's easiest to kind of do it in the morning at night. So in the morning it's nice to kind of start the day off, and I always end the day off as well as being grateful for the things that have happened throughout the day.
Hmm.
So that's the first tip. The second tip is to speak to yourself with love and compassion. So I've learned a lot about self-talk in the past couple of years. And when I first started beginning my journey, I really became aware of this self-talk when I read the Yoga Sutras. And yoga is kind of an all-encompassing science of the mind, we'll just say.
Hmm.
It's a philosophy too, but it can be very practical as well. So it's just like, okay, paying attention to, wow, I didn't even realize I was thinking these things, and oh, I'm talking so awful to myself, in the past. And it's just like, okay, when you turn on the light, this is how I work. When I shine a light on in my brain, then I can no longer look away, and and the type of person that I am is that I would like to optimize and fix these things. Not that there is anything wrong, you know, we're all perfect and good how we're made, but I would love to live my life even better. So I started to begin to talk to myself in a different fashion. You know, I was also talking to myself worse than I would talk to others, and that was like, whoa, what let's look at that for a second. What does that mean? You know? So I really I call them like system upgrades, we'll say.
Mm-hmm.
Every once in a while, if I'm finding, oh, I'm slacking, you know, I'll do a system upgrade, and I'll keenly watch my thoughts. If I'm having a thought pattern that's no longer in alignment with my heart, you know, that heart frequency, then I will stop it, and then I either will trace it back to where it's stemming from and kind of get to the root of the problem or the issue, and address that, or I'll just stop it dead in the tracks and replace it with a good thought. That's always a good practice. And then being compassionate to myself during that process, because you know, I also in the past I also went down the line of like being so hard on myself, and during the process, it's like it's just a learning process. So if you can be childlike and forgiving of that process, it's not going to be like it's not going to use all of these same belief systems negatively in a new fashion, we'll say.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
just being compassionate towards myself during the process is always a recipe for success that I found. And then lastly,
Well, I'm
so
right there because I love this step so much because I think that it's so important. This is where people really get stuck, is that
mhm,
speak to themselves. Like you're in your own little internal dialogue all the time,
yes,
right? And
yes,
I feel like so often it's like, oh, you're so stupid. Why did you do that? Why did you stay with
mhm,
it in with? You know better. You're dumb. And like those, like, and I think about, you know, I have children, and I think about how, you know, the children, they're so excited to learn and do things, and
mhm,
they mess up. And you think about like when we learned how to walk, you know, we fell on our face, back up walking again, or we started riding a bike, fell and bumped ourselves, scraped our knees, got back on and rode our bikes more. And you know,
yeah,
you're too stupid to walk. Like, you know, thoughts in our head, but like these things
yeah,
are not innate to us because we haven't learned them maybe from our own upbringing, or we've been bullied, or we've been hard on ourselves for whatever reason. You know, we're
mhm,
passionate to ourselves. We're and people that I work with are some of the most compassionate, wonderful people that I've ever met. And here they are
yeah,
themselves being not compassionate, loving to themselves. And it's so frustrating to see. And I've been there. I mean, you know, I think it's human to be there. You know, we
mhm.
that it's insecurity. Do you think that it's comparison? Like, where do you think it's coming from?
Oh, okay. So, I for in my own personal journey, I have kind of traced traced the roots of two very powerful negative patterns of thinking, and they
Mm-hmm.
have to do with comparison and jealousy. So what I call a cocktail recipe for you know, going down a road which we no longer like to go down. So I do two things when I compare myself, or multiple things happen when I compare myself to others.
Mm-hmm.
I downgrade myself and my own personal experience, and then I am comparing myself, the uniqueness and the beauty and, you know, all these wonderful things that I am, and the experience that I'm having, which is a learning experience, essentially, as I'm just downgrading it. And by doing that, you're taking the power of any one situation and you're comparing it to the next person. And then, you know, when you're comparing it, then these feelings of jealousy, or I'm not there yet, or this or that, and it's just like you are exactly where you are supposed to be for set reason. You know, you have created this situation for a reason. So looking at that, I, you know, catching myself in, oh, I'm comparing myself. Like, why am I comparing myself when I have so many beautiful things to offer? You know, even coming down to our fingerprints are completely different than the next person. So it's like, of course, our lives and every single interaction, every experience, every set of learning is going to be entirely unique.
Mm-hmm.
So that is when you compare, you're taking the beauty, you're robbing yourself of beauty.
Yes.
So I have just, I've seen it, and I've again experimented with it. It's like, and also it's kind of intoxicating, these things. And you spoke earlier about like these things, these levels on top of your heart's intuition. And we'll say certain emotions are more cloudy or more intoxicating than other emotions, and they kind of get on top of this intuition more. And I've experienced that comparing and jealousy and anger kind of go together, and they create a little bit of confusion on top of this layer, and stopping myself like dead in my tracks before my brain goes, oh, oh, and this and this and this and this. It's like, no, stop here, take a deep breath, and think about all that you've gone through to get to this point. Like all of the beauty in your life, the good, the bad, everything is beautiful because it has gotten you here. So it's just, stepping back and seeing that, and, just being like, oh, again, bringing in the gratitude. It's like, oh, thank you so much for this, this uniqueness, and then this humbling experience again, learning, So I found that comparison is, if I start comparing, don't want to go down that road. Red flag.
I think it's true whether you are thinking that someone is better than you or you are better than someone else.
Oh, yes. The other side of the coin as well. Yes. I didn't even say that. Absolutely. Absolutely goes for both.
Yeah, because that's what it is.
Yeah.
Sometimes, well, I'm better than, well, no, you're not. You're just on a different journey.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yes.
we're like to me, we're puzzle pieces that are just fitting together, and we're trying to figure it out. And when we elevate ourselves, we end up elevating others. So when we have, and sometimes, I mean, and I find that, as a female, it's been like, well, you need to compare yourself to other people.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm.
I don't know how it is with anybody else, but from my experience, I've just seen like,
Mm-hmm.
need to be skinnier or, blonder or, like all these different things that you have to be better than. And it's like, it's not better than, because we're all beautiful. And like you said, we're all beautiful in our own ways. Birds do not compare, hey, you bird, your feathers look nice. No, they're beautiful of themselves, and they make the song
Yeah.
as they make it. So it's just amazing as human beings, the social construct that's kind of gotten us into, we need to be a certain way and act a certain way to be successful. And then I think we start thinking like, oh, well, I'm better than them. And it's to make ourselves feel more confident. When you're
Yeah.
down, that's not confidence. That's actually that there's something missing
Mm-hmm.
from you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. I've experienced both
Yeah.
sides,
Yeah.
I was reflecting on it. I said, I feel like I was a spy for a long time or something.
Yeah.
I also like to laugh a lot, so I find that, bringing joy and laughter into these kind of it can be quite a serious situation sometimes. But yeah, so I found that, it's about balance. I bring in the word balance in the feminine and in the masculine, because I guess balance can look like, or imbalance can look like competitive and all these false social constructs that we'll say the collective social construct of society has kind of gotten into our system in one fashion or another. So it's kind of like detaching yourself from that, and again, just knowing that is false. It's easier said than done, and you have to, doing the work is always necessary. But balancing femininity is I work a lot with like spirit animal cards. So I believe it's prairie dog medicine is kind of working with the rising each other up and encouraging each other up, because we go up together. There's an interconnectedness, and it fills your sails, it fills your sails with wind, and it pushes you forward. And then I've seen the masculine side where it's a little different more, I guess, testosterone competitive and all these things. And um, I found myself in that trap as well, you know, when I
Yeah.
first transitioned. So it's just again disconnecting from some of these false identities that society has kind of forced upon us, and then navigating your own way through these things is always a nice has been nice.
Yeah, yeah. And I find that, when you're trying to, back to gratitude and the points and stuff, is I think that, when I'm really leading with my heart, like you said,
Hmm.
it's someone's soul as opposed to the outside beings that we are, you can see
Yeah.
a different way. Like, you see their light shine through, and it's just this beautiful thing to experience, is to really feel that soul connection with someone, and see their soul for who they are. We're
Hmm.
body, but we didn't, I say to my students all the time, I'm like, I didn't choose this. This is what I this earth with. And wonderful thing that we have the ability to, like, when you realize that, like, I didn't choose to look this way, this is how I was born. And then to be
Hmm.
like, hey, we're judging people based on something else, when it's the soul that is really what matters, is what that connection is with other people. So that's why the comparisons are so silly, because we're just souls having a human experience.
Yeah, we are just souls having a human experience.
Exactly.
And it's a lot of fun.
It is exactly the great old time.
Yeah. So the last tip is integrate your heart's intelligence into your being. So I guess it comes full circle with all these tools. Is just coming back to your center, coming back to your heart, your gut. Many people call it different things, but it's just like a second brain kind of intelligence.
Mhm.
Whereas, it's a quiet. For me, it's a quiet, gentle voice. It's not like a "oh, do this" yelling voice. So just learning for yourself what your heart's intelligence is saying, because generally it won't ever steer you wrong because it just knows, you know. It's that connection to the source, the connection to the divine, connection to the bigger picture and what's out there for us. It's really really nice. So that's the last tip.
Why do you think, in your opinion, why do you think that people have lost their connection to their heart? I mean, because I feel like that's
Mm.
something that has been in history. I mean, I don't know the answer, but, like, have people been better at listening to their heart? Are we worse off now? Like, or why do you think people are disconnected from that, in your opinion?
Okay. So a few things came to mind, we'll say. I also have been changing the way that I ask questions, because I say, "Oh, well, what do you think about this?" I'll say, "Well, how do you feel about this?" And I'll go, "How do you feel about this?" to kind of center the energy here rather than here.
Mhm.
Um, I think, well, I feel that there's just a misunderstanding of what true intelligence can look like, or what true intelligence can feel like.
Mhm.
And oftentimes I have understood that weakness is portrayed as crying or expression or feelings or any of these things. Whereas I feel that that is true power. So I feel like there's a disconnect and a misunderstanding, possibly not for everyone, but there is a misunderstanding that can sometimes happen of what um, power and knowledge can be portrayed as.
Mhm.
And yes, the mind is a great tool when in balance. And when the mind is out of balance, then it's uh, you're living up here, up here, up here, up here. And if it's out of balance, then I guess generally you could say then there's racing thoughts. It's not from a form of rational, which kind of seems counterintuitive. You're thinking about the brain, then you rationalize with the brain, but living in harmony and balance. So I just feel like there might be a just misunderstanding of what balance is and what true intelligence looks like, and power and strength, really.
Hmm.
um Crying in a crowd because you feel something and you're moved is strong, is powerful.
Hmm.
And I have experienced, oh, you're in my past, oh, you're too sensitive, oh, you're too emotional, to this, to that. But no, I'm not too sensitive. I'm just allowing myself to feel the rainbow of emotions, and the rainbow of this, again, this human experience, this experiencing the soul through this human life. So it's just a little misunderstanding, I feel.
Yeah, yeah, because there is for so many this feeling of being disconnected, and
Yeah.
and that emotions are wrong, and that it's because that's true too. I think that when you allow things to build up for too long too, then
Hmm.
and then it's a really
Oh
bad.
yeah.
But if you kind of, it's like, it's kind of like that pressure cooker. You just let it off a little bit slowly. It doesn't explode.
Yes.
Not. It's just.
Yes. Yeah. And practicing that, I've practiced using my throat, my voice. I've used my voice in singing. Also a musician and artist, and I was always able to express my feelings in that way, and I always felt at home. Whereas some people might get on the stage and feel really nervous. What
Hmm.
was nervous for me in the past was having a conversation in a a relaxed tone, where I didn't get overworked, and just practicing. it,
Hmm.
it took me practicing, again, with the pressure cookers. It's like practicing this, like. And then I found that once I practiced more, then certain situations where I kind of, will say, not nip them in the bud, but just worked with them when they happen. Not waiting also is nice. And then just, it was just like, oh, that's it, okay, let's move forward. And then I don't look back. So it's just
Yeah,
the clarity and the forgiveness is just so much easier that way.
huge. And I think that I just love that the thing that I keep just feeling about this whole, like, all of the tips and all of the different things you're sharing is the practice. It's like,
Yeah.
again, you're a musician, so you practice. You weren't a guitar player and singer like that. You actually had to and
Yeah.
in the beginning, I think this whole thing is just about forgiving yourself for not knowing,
Hmm.
realizing that all of this stuff is practice, and it's just learning to play the right notes, say the things that feel right to you, and to be in tune with your emotions. All of that thing is practice, because a lot of us, it's not innate for us. It's stuff
Yeah.
to put under the carpet, or whatever, or we've been told to act a certain way. So now that we're learning and reconnecting with ourselves, it feels a little awkward sometimes. It feels
Oh
uncomfortable.
yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
It can definitely feel uncomfortable at times. And I've also enforced with my partner in my relationships, like, hey, just being raw and be like, I'm practicing, this is where I'm at, this is me right now,
Yeah.
in all its beauty. This
Yeah.
is just exactly where I'm at, and I'm practicing, and we're working on it. So it's always nice to be completely just raw and honest. Like, I'm working on my communication skills right now, so it might be a little in the beginning. But I appreciate your support, and just putting that out there before even practicing is also nice. Like, just letting people know where you're at is also really nice too.
And I love that idea. Like, and that's so self-aware to be like, hey, you know what? I don't really know what I'm doing. Because really, do any of us really know what we're doing? Like, we're all just like, I think I know, and we're trying to figure it out, But like, to say, like, hey, I'm learning this right now. Please, be a little bit more understanding, and if you don't mind, could you please, if someone loves you and it's a relationship, and to let them know, just be, like you said, pure and honest and raw, and just say, I made a mistake. And I think that it's so difficult. And for me, it used to be so hard to admit I was wrong. That was
Yeah.
some practice myself of being able to say, "Ooh, I messed up. I'm sorry." And it used to like hurt my chest to be like, "Oops." Yeah.
Mm.
And now it's like, well, yeah, I messed up. I really apologize. And I can feel it more. It comes more freely the more that I've also practiced it. And to be able to, like, why is it that we get so scared to admit that we don't know, or that we're wrong, or
Yeah.
mistake?
Yeah, yeah. It's like the self-critical eye. It's like oh
Yeah.
so serious. But again, we could bring in this childlike learning. You know,
Mhm.
it's really, really a great tool.
Yeah.
Um, so I've also been opening myself up to feedback, and I actually practice this. I'm a yoga teacher as well. When I first became a yoga teacher, my partner and I, Maria, would come to each other's classes, and at the end of the class, we would just give each other feedback, and it was just like, okay. At first, it was like, oh, this is new, you know, and unfamiliar territory, you know, navigating throughout that, and then it kind of opened my heart up to feedback, you know, in order to listening from a different perspective and seeing from a different eye of you know, always it's not always accurate for you, but it's like, oh, I can take that in and I can think about that, you know. Seeing something through a different perspective, a different lens is always helpful for sure. um, and opening yourself up to feedback, it's a really, really powerful thing.
And with someone you trust. And obviously,
Oh
Maria,
yeah,
trust her.
yes.
So that to be safe in saying that.
Yeah,
That's great.
yeah, absolutely.
Well, this was great. I don't know. Are there any questions from anyone? Because there's a few people that have been watching, and if we missed something, let me just make sure that we didn't miss anything. With self-talk, yep. Love the idea of compassion and following the heart. So that's beautiful. Is there anything that anyone had for us before we said goodbye? Because and I know it takes sometimes a minute or so for people to write questions, but as people might be writing questions, is there how can people follow you? How could like what are some things that you'd like to let them know that you might be working on so they can kind of see what you're doing and follow you on social media?
Okay, so I am working on multiple things. I like to do so. You know. So right now, I'm actually editing a documentary that I've been working on for a while. I've decided to just let it out in episodes, so you can find me. It's called Their Hope Documentary. As far as me working with people, you can find me on www.color-outside-the lines. There's dashes in between the words. .org. So there I offer, I work with different healing modalities depending on what speaks to the person most. All the things that I have used on myself, and I found, you know, great transformations with them. So I offer yoga sessions, just tailored to the individual online yoga sessions. I offer oracle card readings, which I use spirit animal medicine. So the animals have like different, we'll say, characteristics and traits that we can use as medicine.
Mhm.
I use angel oracle cards. So I came up with, I'm very artistic, so I came up with my own spread to kind of read the cards for people. I also do something called theta healing, which is working, it's a lot of different things, but it's working with I found is working with the subconscious and the belief systems and bringing awareness so that you can shed those layers and bring in new into your life. It's a lot of different things, but too much to kind of explain here. But I offer that as well as what else do I offer? Just coaching, you know, general coaching. And I also offer distance Reiki.
Excellent. Excellent. So
Yeah.
lots of different healing modalities. So if any of those
Yeah.
reach out to Jordan, follow Jordan. Jordan, I mean, like I said in the beginning of the interview, Jordan has done this huge growth over the years, and it's just been so to watch, you know, I mean, it's a transformation, not only physically, but just emotionally, spiritually, like just this whole, person that is you is just so beautiful and amazing. And I'm so glad to do this, even though you're tomorrow. Trying to figure out when we're going to do this. We're like, all right, so let's do the math. He has 16 hours, I think, in the future. So trying to figure
Yeah.
out, was just, I'm so happy you were able to come on and share
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing this platform with me. It was so nice to talk and
yes,
connect.
and to actually see your face, which is really nice. Um,
Yeah.
interview. It is enlightening. Good, excellent. So definitely, Donna, follow Jordan, and in the in the comments. So don't feel like if you missed what writing something down for the social media links. Don't worry, we will get and follow Jordan and all the cool stuff that he's doing. So thank you,
Yes, absolutely.
and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Yes, it's been a pleasure. Thank you. Bye, everyone.